Hi guys, and welcome back to LPB Racing for the WEC Replica Championship on GT Sport. We are ready for race 2 here at Le Mans. Let's take you through the starting order then. So we've got seat 1 on pole position, but he's on the medium tyres this time, so clearly wanting to try a different strategy. Then everyone else is on the softs. It's Techno second, obviously all in Porsches in the Division 2 LMP1 class. Then it's Rodders in third, Firepower 4, Stacker in fifth. Then Callum is on pole position for the GTE boys in Division 1. Then it's Bidzster in second place, Task 1 in third, so good qualifying for him. So obviously watch out for him in this race. Neil Farmack in ninth, which is fourth in class. Fifth in class is Jamo, and sixth is TY. So TY not having a good qualifying here, but let's see how things go as we get ready for the start of this second race here at Le Mans. So you're ready, waiting for the revs to rise and the lights to go on. I see the field down there at on the start-finish straight. Ready for lights to go out, and away we go. And it looks like everyone's away well. It's a good start by the Corvettes and GTE. They get right to the front. The Porsches go backwards, and everyone else into the first few corners. Into the chicane. Seat 1's in from Techno. Rodders, Stacker, and then Firepower gets pushed towards the back of his class. Callum meanwhile's ahead in the Corvette with Task 1. In that class, as we go down the hill, then we have a look. Seat 1, Techno, Rodders, Stacker, all the way through that corner there. Callum, TY, they're all there as well. It's going to change the cameras to this one so we can actually change the cameras better. There's Task 1 behind his teammate in the other Corvette, obviously authentic colours in that team. And then we've got Bidzster in the art car, followed by TY. TY makes a good start from the back. Jamo and Neil Farmack and the two Nissans go right towards the back. So unlucky there. As we go down the straight now, Techno in the lead from Seat 1 then. So Seat 1 already trying to save fuel. Let's get the little thing up so we can see who's saving the best fuel. Into the chicane, Rodders has a little look, and then Seat 1 somehow stops in the middle of the apex and Stacker goes wide. So I don't know quite what happened to Seat 1 there, but he just hit the anchors. And Techno gets a bit more of a gap, so Seat 1 in second place, Rodders third, Firepower fourth, Stacker in fifth. And then here come the GT boys out of that chicane. Task 1 from Callum, Bidzster, TY, Neil Farmack and Jamo. So all very close here as we go down to the next chicane. I'm just going to change the cameras back, guys, because I think the other cameras were working better. There we are. Techno from Seat 1, Rodders, Firepower, Stacker is the order, and then we've got the GT boys. There's Task 1, he's in the lead now, so obviously Task 1 again, don't think he's going to bother saving too much fuel. He's already used an eighth of a tank already in that Corvette, so that Corvette really sucking fuel. Then if you look at the Porsche, only used about an eighth so far, so not used too much in the Porsche. As Bidzster then closes up to the back of Callum. Let's look back to the LMP1 boys, into the corner at the bottom, into Mulsanne corner. And everyone through there nicely. Firepower kicking up a bit more of the dust. There's Seat 1 in the Marlboro Porsche team. His teammate Stacker back in fifth place, so obviously still struggling with pace in this championship is Stacker. Obviously focusing a bit more on project cars at the minute, but still doing very well here as the sparks fly from Rodders' Porsche as we go down towards the next corner. Into here we go, and then on to the brakes. Rodders getting rid of a little penalty, closes right up behind Seat 1. Well, I thought we were going to hit him for a minute, but luckily gets away with it. Into Arnage. And then cleanly through there. Firepower closes upon his teammate a little bit, but goes wide. As we look at the GT boys then. Task 1 from Callum from Bidzster. Task 1 in the lead then. Used a quarter of a tank already. That's Corvette really sucking fuel. You can see Callum there on an eighth. He's not used much. And so is Bidzster and TY. They're still saving. Neil Farmack and Jamo further back. They're not teammates. But remember, Neil's teammate is Nick Hash, but Nick Hash unfortunately not able to make it this evening, so unfortunately not in the race. So one car for the N&N Racing team as we go through the Porsche curves in Porsches. all five of them Porsches in Division 2, so should keep things quite equal anyway, but still all good. Firepower catching up to his teammate Rodders, who makes a little bit of a scrappy mess of that last bit of the Porsche curves. Down to the Ford chicane then for the first time. Techno in the lead from Seat 1, so Techno's going to lead this opening lap. Well done to him. Seat 1 in second place. Rodders in third, but he's slowed right down for something. He must have made a mistake into the corner. There goes Firepower there. Stacker in fifth. Then we've got Task 1 there in the lead of the GTE boys. Falling back is Callum in second place with Bidzster right behind him. So Callum losing touch with his teammate here. Obviously not wanting to push too hard because he needs to save the fuel to make it last longer. Task 1 obviously is not bothering about that. He wants to go all out and pit a few times. Which is quite in his right to do. So there's TY in the second dark car, in third in class. There's Neil, fourth in class. Let's have a look back at the front then. We've got Seat 1 trying to catch up to Techno here. So Techno's used a bit more fuel. He's down to, look at the fuel gauges. A little bit more fuel used on Techno's car than Seat 1. As we go down to the next corner at the chicane, the first chicane on the straight. It used to be a massive 4-mile straight, this small silent straight, but then they put the chicanes in 1989 to 1990 to try and slow the cars down, but these cars do actually lap the circuit just as fast as the old cars did back in the day, even with the chicanes in. That just shows you how far modern technology's come along with these cars. As we go down towards the second chicane now, we've got Rodders and Firepower quite close together as well in class. As we go down towards the second chicane with them, Seat 1 and Techno very close now as we go into the second chicane. Both on the brakes, and Techno a little bit late on the brakes into there, but all good, gets away with it. And then accelerate out of the corner, use the hybrid system, pull away. There's Rodders and Firepower, the two Jorex cars running line astern. And we've got Stacker further back, he's still struggling with pace in that car. Task 1 ahead by a country mile in his class, ahead of the others, but remember he's already look at the fuel he's using, he's almost on half a tank already. Meanwhile these lot back here are on quarter as TY in the background. TY's all over the place, I think he's about to disconnect. TY, so unlucky for him, he's about to disconnect here. His car's gone invisible, he's definitely going to disconnect at some point. Yep, he's gone. So TY unfortunately disconnects from the race, so unlucky for him there. So we're unfortunately down to 5 cars now in each. So unlucky for TY there, so no points for him. So Bidzster is the sole car remaining. So TY unfortunately disappears from the race. So hopefully we'll see him back next time at Fuji. As we look at Techno, still leading Seek. As we come up to Arnage, through Arnage, and then whoa, just about has a massive slide as he gets the power on, because Arnage, it's one of the slowest corners on the track. So you've had all that high average speed, and then all of a sudden you've got to square the car out of a corner and rely on the mechanical grip, not the aerodynamic grip. And it's so easy to do that in these cars, when you get, especially when you've got the hybrid system that kicks in, and you get an instant, almost an instant 1,000 to 900 horsepower. So Seat 1 takes the lead then after Techno loses speed on the straight after getting the line quite wrong through, after getting the exit wrong of Arnage, and goes back down to second place. But he's still right behind Seat 1. He's not letting him go. You are staying in my sight, sunshine, and I'm going to fight back if I can. As we go down to the Ford chicane, Seat 1 trying to defend a bit from Techno. As we go into the chicane, Techno still trying to stay with him, but Seat 1 pulling away slightly through here, a bit more confident. Seat 1 on a wheel and Techno on a controller, so that's one difference, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference over here as Seat 1 sets the fastest lap, 3 minutes 30.8. It's a good lap there by Seat 1. As we go up towards the chicane, there's Firepower in third. Rodders back down to fourth now, so they've both swapped. So Rodders back down there. Stacker still coming through the chicane, just taking it easy, not as confident in these cars. So Stacker really struggling this season, but hopefully be able to pick up the pace maybe mid-season onwards. Just got to get used to the car, a bit more time to get used to it. As Task 1 then comes through the Porsche curves at the exit, and then through in the Corvette, and then goes through the two Corvette curves here, the two little kinks here. And then here's Callum and Bidzster, they're still close together, still fighting each other. But again, I wonder if Bidzster's just going to use Callum to save more fuel, because he's just going to stay in the draft. He's not, hopefully shouldn't be too bothered about Task for now, because Task's pulling away, but still not pulling away at the rate of knots he needs to get the gap for the pit stop. So we'll see what happens here as Bidzster and Callum come over the chicane to start the third lap of their race. Pit window is in between lap 5 and 7, by the way, guys, just so you're aware. 5 and 7, that is. So watch out for pit stop starting. So you've got to, once you start lap 5 you can pit, and then you've got to pit before you start lap 8. So that's the pit window. So lap 7 is the last chance to pit. Once you start lap 8, that is it. You can't pit for you. Well, you can pit if you want to, but it won't count towards your mandatory pit stop, and you will have you'll be disqualified from the race for not actually pitting in the pit window. So unfortunately, so obviously that's the consequence if you don't do it. Neil Farmack there in 9th place in the Nissan, still trying to catch up to the boys ahead, but used a bit more fuel because he's not got no one to draft really. Jamo saved a bit more fuel because he's got Neil's draft a little bit, but again, it's not much. As you look back to the LMP1 boys, then Firepower and Rodders closing up, the two Porsches closing up to each other. Firepower trying to keep the Rodders out of his draft, but you would have thought the two teammates would try and help each other out here as we go onto the brakes. Rodders very late on the brakes compared to Firepower. Firepower a bit more tentative on the brakes than his teammate. As we look at the head of the field, Seat 1 is now back in the lead from Techno. So Seat 1 in the lead, Techno in second. We go down towards the Indianapolis corner. Nice through here, just a little lift, a little tap of the brakes if you want to. Throw the car in and then brake in a straight line, ready for the Indianapolis corner. Up towards Arnage now. Again, this is where Techno had a massive slide last time. Let's see if he gets it right this time. He just about, but goes on the curb. Very risky. Can't use the curb too much because it's very risky to wheel spin and then lose the back of the car as Rodders goes out that corner. He's ahead of his teammate now, so Firepower must have let him through. So Firepower wanting to follow his teammate round. So fuel-wise in the LMP1 class, everyone doing well, just half a tank on those cars. As Stacker there, he's saved the most fuel, so he might be trying a different strategy here. As speaking of fuel, look at Task 1's fuel at the bottom left corner. He's gone down to under a quarter, so he'll be coming in this lap. 3 laps on a tank. That's amazing. So yep, Task 1 will probably be coming in this lap. Callum and Bidzster have both got over half a tank still, so yes, there is a bit of a gap. There's probably a good 10 to 12 second gap here, but still it's not going to be enough for Task 1 to stay out in front with a fuel stop. So we'll see how it goes, as Bidzster still right behind Callum, not wanting to go past him, just staying behind him. Let's go on board with Bidzster, and you can hear he's not really putting the power on that much. He's just staying behind him, just doing what he needs to do. Jamo there with Neil Farmack behind as well, so Neil Farmack will be saving fuel off of the back of Jamo now. So Jamo ahead of Neil Farmack, so those two have swapped. Now Neil will get a chance to save a bit more fuel as Jamo goes on it. Oh, Neil Farmack very close to hitting the back of Jamo there, but luckily gets away with it as we go into Arnage with Bidzster and Callum. Still very close here. As we look back to the LMP1 boys, we're already around at Tetra Rouge. Seat 1 in the lead then from Techno, who actually sets his fastest lap of the race and the fastest lap of the race. Up 3 minute 30.5. So a decent lap there from Techno. So a couple of tenths, about a couple of tenths faster than Seat 1's fastest. So he's still trying to obviously keep with Seat 1, not willing to let him go just yet. As we go out of there, down the straight. Firepower going down the straight. Oh, he's ahead of Rodders, so obviously Firepower ahead of Rodders again, so they've swapped. So obviously you want to try to pull each other along here, so teamwork is the best work. As Rodders tries to get rid of a penalty out of that corner. And Task 1, yep, he's in the pits, so Task 1 comes into the pits. Callum and Bidzster will go round. So Callum and Bidzster will go round here. So obviously they're not pitting yet because there's no pit window. Task 1 obviously not wanting to save fuel, absolutely gunning it. And he's going to try and come in every sort of 3 or 4 laps. So we'll see how that strategy does work out for him as he goes into the pit lane there. So will he change tyres in this one? Yes, he's going to change tyres as well. Some fresh rubber, new fuel. We'll see what happens here to him. As we look at Bidzster and Callum, still very close together, but I wouldn't imagine Bidzster would make any attempt for a move on Callum, because he'll want to just stay behind that Corvette and make it use more fuel and let him save more. So if you look now, Callum's at the front, he's on half a tank. Bidzster's on probably half and an eighth, so a little bit more like a 2/3 of a tank. And then Jamo behind on half, but he'll be able to save more fuel now. Now he's behind these two. So all the GTE boys starting to close up now. The different strategies, meaning they're just going to close up for a bit. As Callum moves to the inside, obviously he's taking his line. And then moves towards the outside again, and then Bidzster's right behind him. Just getting rid of a little penalty while he's behind him, might as well while he can. Obviously look at the throttle input from Bidzster, he's only putting like half throttle on. He's trying to save a bit, get rid of a penalty as well, so good thinking there by Bidzster, good strategic driving. Jamo's behind him now, so Jamo will be saving fuel. He's doing the same, getting rid of a bit of a penalty before he gets into the corner. So obviously this track, very, very strict on penalties on this one. So like you just like they go over the white line a bit, and it'll give you a penalty for it, which is silly on this track, because there's not really any way that you can cut corners on this track really. But unless it had been obvious. Yeah, Bidzster right behind Callum again just keeping the partial throttle. As you can see the throttle on screen, whereas Callum's planted to the floor. Jamo's fully lifting off almost, so he's saving a lot of fuel there as well. So again, all about strategy this race. As you go down to the next chicane, Callum from Bidzster, from Jamo from Neil, who's now in the train. Let's have a look at the front runners then. So seat 1 across the line, 3:28.8 to Techno, 3:32, so must have made a mistake that time round Techno. But remember, seat 1 is on the medium tyres as well, so I wonder whether he's going to try and, well, if he's just able to push that set a bit harder and save the fuel. So we'll see what happens here. But obviously each car that comes into the pit, so the pit window is now open for the LMP1 cars. We're on to lap 5, so the pit lane window is open from this lap onwards. But obviously one thing that Seat's going to remember is, yes, he's on the medium tyres, but you must come into the pits and change tyres. You don't have to change compound, you can stay on the same compound, but you must change tyres. So you must change all 4 tyres in the pit stop. So Techno in 2nd place then, Rodder's 3rd, Firepower still trying to stick with his teammate in 4th, so both doing very well on the fuel saving as well. Stacker is doing excellent on the fuel saving. Yes, he's not on the pace, but he's going to save a lot more fuel, and it'll be less time in a pit stop, or he might be able to do a pit stop later on in the race. So we'll see what happens for Stacker here. As he goes into that corner, a little bit of a shortcut. We should probably get a penalty for that. Jamo now in the lead of GTE. This has all changed. We missed a bit of a battle there, I think. So that's all changed there. So we'll just get a replay quick on that battle. Okay, here's a replay some of that action that happened in the GTE class. You see Jamo actually pulls out to overtake Bidzster here. He's up the inside but can't quite make it stick. Then they go out of Mulsanne, and Callum has a big twitches to go out of there but gets away with it. But you can see here that Jamo is clearly starting to get his foot down. So he's really starting to get his foot down here, and he comes alongside Bidzster, and then he's up behind Callum. And then we go down here, and he's going to actually try and pass Callum as well down into here. So I think just deciding he wants to take the lead in this battle and go straight past. And let's watch them now as they go down into Indianapolis corner. Down towards Indianapolis we go, and onto the brakes, Bidzster and Callum side by side. Bidzster on the outside, Callum on the inside. Callum gets the inside. Jamo's into the corner first. And then we go down towards Arnage. Bidzster still keeps around the outside and he gets the inside for Arnage. And then as you come out of Arnage, that's where we saw him last, and that's where we'll resume from. So as we come back from that, Jamo then in the lead of GTE, clearly feeling it's the time to push. Bidzster not wanting to push anywhere, he's wanting to save a bit more fuel, and he lets Callum go around the outside of him, who then goes behind Jamo. So all very close here. Into the Porsche curves then. Around the Porsche curves we go. Neil's just about losing touch with these boys now, trying to stay with them as we go through the Porsche curves. Obviously this is where the Porsche will be quite good, not just because of the name, but because the Porsche is very good around the tight stuff anyway. Into the next corner, they all close up. Bidzster goes right behind him. Obviously there's no pit window yet, so they'll be going round again this time. Where's Task 1? He's only, I look at Task 1 actually, he's come out of the pits full tank, well it was a full tank of fuel at the time, and then new tyres. He's just coming out of the Porsche curves as well, so that could actually be a decent strategy from Task 1 here with pushing all the way. So we'll see what happens to him later on in the race. As Jamo with Callum right behind him, then across the start finish line, they're close. And then let's have a look, seat 1 in the lead, Techno, and then we've got the 2 Durex cars close together as well. So again, the best battle on track is the GT battle. Let's go to it. Jamo from Callum, from Bidzster, from Neil Farmack, all Division 1 boys, very close. Division 2 and LMP1 in this one. Remember the first race that we do on a track, the Division 1 is in the faster one and Division 2 in the slower ones, and then we swap round for the second race. And obviously both divisions having their own point system. So Division 1 is the faster boys, and then Division 2 is the slower guys that are more up and coming on speed. It's no disrespect to them, it's just how the divisions are split, just so we actually get to the so we can do multi-class championships and we can keep things fair between people. As Callum goes straight past Jamo, clearly thinking now is the time to push. So I wonder if Callum now is he had enough for saving fuel. Let's do a fast in lap. So we'll see what happens here. Callum as Jamo then comes up behind. Bidzster's already still got half a tank of fuel in his car. Brilliant fuel saving from Bidzster, but having said that, remember the Porsche is very, very good on saving fuel. Very good indeed compared to the other cars. Rodders is in. Rodders is in, and Firepower. So obviously they've used more fuel than their compatriots. As Techno goes round again, but he's only got an eighth of a tank to get round a lap, so that's going to be quite fun. As Firepower and Rodders then both come into the pits. Firepower using more fuel than Rodders. Sorry about that, guys. Just caught the microphone if you heard a little crack there. But yep. Firepower and Rodders come into the pits. Firepower's going to have less fuel to put in, so Rodders actually use more fuel than Firepower. As Callum and Jamo and Bidzster still battling it out on track for this GTE Honours. But remember, we're not even halfway through the race yet, so we'll have to see what happens with strategy-wise. Task 1's not too far behind. He's only just coming out. He's only just come out of the second chicane, so he's really pressing on. 3:58s for him. As are all the rest in the 4-minute 6s-ish. And so as Jamo's now in front of Bidzster. So we've got Callum from Jamo, Bidzster, Neil, Task 1 in 5th. So it's still very close between all these cars here as they draft each other down the straight. Let's have a look where the other guys came out the pits. We've got Stacker in 3rd. Firepower's come out ahead of Rodders, obviously, but look, Firepower, I don't know whether that's a strategy or not, but he's actually not put as much fuel in. So I wonder what Firepower's playing at here, unless he accidentally pressed the button to come out the pits too early. But yeah, Firepower there, not putting as much fuel in his car. So unless he's really confident that he can save the fuel and wanted a quicker stop, we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, Firepower in 4th, Rodders in 5th. Callum's in the lead then. In GTE, still in the lead from Jamo and Bidzster. So still all in line, still pushing hard. You see Callum now really using that fuel. He's on mix 1, you can tell. He's using that fuel like he's drinking out of a baby's bottle. He's absolutely just gulping it down. And then Jamo's still using a lot of fuel there. Bidzster's not using as much still, but remember, even if he pits this lap, he'll get out in front of him because he'll not have to put as much in. But again, you think with Bidzster having more fuel in the tank, he might actually go longer. He might try and go longer through the pit window. So we'll have to see what happens here to Bidzster as we go around the Porsche curves then. Through the Porsche curves into this long radius right-hander, very, very hard corner, a lot of pressure on the front left tyre, and then a transition into this one, lift off, have to go down a gear usually for this one, and then up towards the Ford chicane. We're watching this battle, we're not just fixating on the Division 1 boys, but what it is, there's a bit more of a better battle in this one. Is anyone going to pit this lap? No. They all go round again, so will Neil pit this lap? No, Neil goes round again as well, so Task 1 still closing up lap after lap. But again, he's already used half a tank almost, so he might have to pit when these guys pit more or less. So on to lap 6, so 2 laps left of the pit window for these boys, and 1 lap left of the pit window for these boys when they for the LMP1 guys as they when they cross the line. So seat 1 still with a commanding lead there. Then Techno in 2nd place, about a good 15 to 20 seconds back. Then about 30 seconds back is Stacker in 3rd place from Firepower and Rodders, who are still very close together. Oh, Firepower goes off. Did he get hit by his teammate? Did he get hit? I didn't see that. We'll get a replay. Here's an onboard from onboard with Rodders to see if he actually hit his teammate off on lap 6. So we're going down towards Indianapolis. You can see the closing speed. Then we're on to the brakes. Brake now, and then no, Firepower just leaves it way too late, and Rodders leaves it very late as well, and then Firepower takes himself off. So as we come back from that replay, then the leader is in Division 2. Seek 1 is in the pits, followed by Techno as well. Techno's crew come out. He just about makes it round to the pits. Look at the graphic at the top left. Look at the fuel. Wow, minimal fuel. As Stacker comes through, then he's going to come through. Will he pit this lap? It looks like it with the fuel. He might pit this lap. And then we've got Rodders there in 4th, who goes wide and off the track. So they're both Durex cars pushing over the limit. So both testing the track limits a bit as well, as Firepower comes through there as well. So here comes the pit lane watching. So Stacker's in the pits as well. I thought it would be Rodders and Firepower around here somewhere. Seat 1's already out, so Seat 1 resumes his lead of the race, back on the medium tyres, so clearly prefers that rubber compared to the softer compound rubber. So as he goes wide into the first corner, got to watch out for that. So that was a bit of a corner cut there, so it could have been for a track limit penalty maybe, as he goes through that. We'll see how that goes later on in the race as we look at Techno there in 2nd place. Rodders comes through in 3rd, Firepower 4th, Stacker still in the pits, so he's going to resume in 4th place, and then Stacker's going to resume in 5th. Meanwhile, the GTE boys are still battling at it. Callum in the lead, now getting on with it. Jamo's got in the red zone on the fuel, so he's got to watch out for that. Bidzster's still got a quarter of a tank left, so Bidzster not bothered about fuel at all. And he's closing right up to the back of Jamo here. Then we've got Neil being passed by Task 1 in the background. So Neil being passed by Task 1. So Task 1's up on these boys already. And it looks like he might end up having to pit with him as well. So we'll see how it goes as we go round the Mulsanne corner and then on to the next bit. Up towards here, let's have a look at the LMP1 boys then. So Seat 1 in the lead of this race by a country mile, it has to be said. From Techno, just coming out the first chicane now, and Seat 1's almost down at the second one, so big gap there, probably a 20-second plus gap. Then we've got Rodders in third. He's going to try and catch up to Techno if he can as well. Firepower just coming into the first chicane, absolutely sideways, hitting the Gymkhana button in his Porsche. So testing the limit of the Jorex on the tyres. So yep, into fourth place, and then Stacker in fifth in the Marlboro team Porsche. So in GTE, Callum from Jamo from Bidzster still the same order. Callum in the red zone now, so he's still pushing hard, using that fuel, so he'll definitely be pitting this lap. So will Jamo, he's almost on fumes. Jamo's almost on fumes and that, so he might even run out before he gets there. Bidzster's on still just under a quarter of a tank, so a lot more fuel saved there by Bidzster, probably a good 15 litres of fuel saved by Bidzster, which is a lot, 15 to 20 litres of fuel difference as we go into the Porsche curves. Then Task 1, he's on his way, he's hunting him down, but again, look at his fuel, he might have to pit this time round as well, so we'll see what's going to happen here. As Jamo comes through in 7th place behind Callum, pushing him hard, going wide onto the AstroTurf, kicking up the dust towards the pit lane now. So Callum and Jamo will probably peel off this time. Yes, they will. Callum's in, Jamo's in, Bidzster does not go in. Bidzster's not going to go in, he's going to try and do an extra lap. So this could be a difference maker here. So Jamo comes into the pits and just runs out as he gets to the pit lane. Good timing from Jamo there, perfect timing on the fuel. Bidzster's going round again then, so he wants to push hard for another lap. There's Task 1's in the pits as well, so Task 1 having to join all the rest in the pits. Neil's in as well, so Bidzster is the only one that doesn't pit out of all these boys. So Bidzster, you can tell he's turned up the wick now, he's really pushing in that Porsche. Needs a good in-lap here to try and trump the rest and get ahead. So we'll see what happens here. So let's focus on the LMP1 boys for a little bit then. So there's Seat 1 in the lead, country mile ahead. There's Rodders catching up to Techno. So Rodders and Techno are the next battle to watch on track as we come around the Porsche curves and out of it, through the little kink here and then through the little right-left kink of the Corvette curves down towards the Ford chicane. Meanwhile in the pits, Callum's out. Callum's out the pits, followed by Jamo. So Callum gets ahead of Jamo in the pits lane. So both full tanks, both soft tyres. Neil Farmack still waiting to come out the pits. Task 1's come out the pits now. He's on soft tyres and a full tank as well. Neil Farmack there in 10th place comes out with the other two cars catching him up. Rodders and Techno, so Techno gets round. Will Rodders get round before the next corner? Yes, he does. So luckily just gets ahead, doesn't get caught with the traffic as Techno goes wide. But Rodders did cut the inside of the corner there, so we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. That could be a track limits as well. So Techno now stuck behind Neil Farmack and he's going to have to wait for a gap to pass him, because remember the GT3 boys get right of way when it comes to traffic, so they get the right of way when it comes to the racing lines. Techno has to wait and then just waits for the place to squirt past and does it ever so nicely there, well done, and then through. So Firepower in 4th. There's a lot less fuel, so he might have to make another pit stop in this one, so it looks like Firepower strategy might not work in this one. So there's Seat 1 from Rodders, from Techno, Firepower from Stacker. That's your LMP1 position so far, and they're on their and they've all finished their pit window. The last lap of the pit window, this, and Bidzster will have to pit this lap. He's in the red zone. He's going to have to save a bit more fuel, so he's gone a bit too early, but we'll have to see if it's going to be enough to actually get ahead of these boys. There's Callum, Jamo, and then they're being lapped by the 2nd place Techno. So there's Task 1. He's catching up to these boys as well, so he's keeping his foot firmly pressed on the floor here. We've got Neil Farmack there in 10th position. He's got Firepower closing up to the back of him, so Neil Farmack's still not out of this race yet. So obviously Task 1 might have to pit again. There's Jamo, and there's Callum going through with Rodders, passing him like a bullet. So straight through goes Rodders. So Bidzster now coming up towards Indianapolis. Nice gap here, but again he's pushing hard Going to use every little droplet of fuel that he can towards the pit lane to try and get more pace. But again, the more fuel you use, the more longer you are going to be in the pit lane to get more fuel in. So it's going to be a blend of what you can do here. Powers out the corner up towards the next bit. Where's Stacker? There he is. Let's have a little look further back. There's Callum and there's Task 1. He's ahead of Jamo, so Task 1 still with his foot firmly to the floor here. Getting a nice little toe off of Techno and then trying to catch up to his teammate. So leaving Jamo in the dust. You can just see the difference as he pulls away from Jamo with the engine on full whack, and you can see how fast he's catching his teammate as well. If you look behind from Callum, you can see how fast Task closing in. That's the difference between saving fuel and not saving any. So Task 1 fully catching up to Callum here as we go into this corner. Callum goes a bit wide there. That's not like Callum at all. And then goes into Arnage. He's going to let his teammate go up the inside, I think. Yes, he does. Lets his teammate go and he'll try and follow him from now on. So Task 1 goes through into the theoretical lead after the pit stops, but we'll see, because Bidzster's now into the pits and he's just about using all his fuel on fumes. As fast as you can into the pits, over one curb, over the other, slide sideways into the pits. Here comes the Team Arc crew for the pit stop, so we'll see where this is going to bring him out. There's Task 1 and Callum. They're just approaching the Porsche curves. This is going to be close. As we look further down the pack, we've got Firepower there in the middle of these cars, trying to look for a way through. So Firepower's got stuck in traffic here, so this could actually make the difference between 4th and 5th. This could help Stacker out. We'll see what happens as well. So Bidzster's still in the pit lane. He's just going into the pit box now. So tyres up on the jacks, getting the tyres changed. There's Firepower. There's Stacker coming into the Porsche curve. So Stacker closing in on Firepower here. So Stacker doing a good job here. 3:35 last time round. 3:34 Firepower. So still quite a decent gap between those two here. Bidzster filling up the tank. You see the fuel going up as Task 1 comes through. Task 1 will be in the lead. Callum's there. Bidzster's coming out of his pit box now. Bidzster's coming out. Let's watch Bidzster as he comes out the pits. Where's Task 1? Bidzster's come out in the lead. Bidzster's got the lead after that fast in lap. Bidzster takes the lead, and obviously because he's pitted on the last lap of the pit window is now closed. Bidzster will now hopefully be able to push a bit harder on this set of tyres and his fuel, because he's got more fuel and less laps to do. So he's got a lot more fuel to burn as Firepower comes up behind him there. So hopefully Firepower might be able to squirt past here, or even after the next corner. He's going to wait till after Tetra Rouge. Sensible stuff from Firepower. Into this corner, then Bidzster will move to one way. Indicates right, saying just pass me on that side. There you go. Firepower goes through, and a little draft for Bidzster. Nice little draft on the house. And Task 1 right behind him. So I wonder if Task 1's going to try and catch up to Bidzster or try and save fuel to go to the end. We'll see what happens. Callum there in 3rd place in class, followed by Jamo. So he'll see Bidzster heading, and he'll be kicking himself because Bidzster's got a good gap here. As we go into the chicane, then Bidzster's still pushing hard. Meanwhile, Rod is in 2nd place with Techno in 3rd. So Techno's gone back down to 3rd. Techno goes down to 3rd. Rod is into 2nd. We missed that pass. We'll get a replay on that. As we come back from that, Firepower in 4th, Stacker 5th. So look, we've looked first Firepower and there's Stacker, so you can see on the map the 2 red icons. So not too much in between them at all. And Task 1 is passing Bidzster, so Task 1 passes Bidzster. And I wonder now if Bidzster's going to try and stay with him and save fuel, because that'll help. So I wonder actually if Bidzster let him through, because I wonder if, because Task 1 would have only caught him by about now, not really on the halfway through the other straight. So I wonder if this is Bidzster being strategic. Let Task 1 go through, turn up the wick a bit and try and stay with him, and then just lift off a lot more on the straights. Well, turn the fuel mix down on the straight to then try and save more fuel. So we'll have to see if this works. So Task 1 from Bidzster then, but Task 1 will probably have to make another pit stop. Half a tank will not get you to the end of this race, I don't think. There's Bidzster there in 7th place. And meanwhile, in the background, there's that was Stacker coming up to the back of them to lap him. Stacker coming through in the 2nd Marlboro Porsche. His teammate in the lead, Seat 1, in the lead of this race. Dominant fashion so far. He's probably about 35 seconds ahead of the next car. So really, really impressive stuff here from Seat 1. Remember, the winner of Division 2 this championship will get promoted to Division 1, and the last person in Division 1 will get put down into Division 2 for the next multi-class championship that we do. So it's constantly a relegation and promotion way that we do things. Into the chicane. Techno comes through in second. So Techno's back past Rodders, so Rodders must have made a mistake somewhere. Techno goes ahead into the chicane. Techno in second place, Rodders in third. Through the Ford chicane. Nicely out of there from both cars onto the straight. Firepower in fourth, he's not doing too bad. Stacker in fifth. Task 1 still in sixth place with Bidzster right behind him, so I was right. Bidzster is going to try and stay with Task 1 and save fuel while he's at it. Remember, because he pitted 1 lap later than Callum as well, he'll not have to save as much fuel and he'll probably have more chance of getting to the end. As he comes up behind Task 1, he's not going to try and pass him just yet. Task 1 doesn't go into the pits yet. Firepower's in though. Firepower's used a lot more fuel, so Stacker goes ahead into fourth. So this could be a game changer. The Stacker looks like he's all set to go to the end of the race. Firepower's in for a splash and dash. As we go into the pit lane. Keeping the fuel, letting the fuel go in as Task 1 and Bidzster still pulling round then. So Task 1's actually not helping his teammate round here. He's actually pulling Bidzster round with him. But obviously Task 1 has got every right to run his own race as well. So you never know, Task 1 might actually make it to the end here, we'll have to see, but Bidzster's got a lot more chance to make it to the end. He's still on 3/4 of a tank, so we'll see how things go. Callum and Jamo still, oh, where's Jamo? Jamo's dropped off Callum, so Jamo must have made a mistake somewhere. So we've got Firepower catching up to the back of Callum, so Firepower out the pits then, let's see what Firepower's on. He's on a set of fresh softs and he's put the proper amount of fuel in, he's put just over half a tank in, that'll definitely get him to the end of this race. As he passes Callum onto the straight, and now he's chasing down Stacker, who's at the first chicane, who will be in fuel saving mode, so we'll see how things go here. As we go down the Mulsanne straight. And now back to Techno, and there's Rodders behind, so Techno pulling away from Rodders now, 3:29.9. So 3:29.9 last time round, 3:36 for Rodders, so definitely a mistake from Rodders on that last lap. So Rodders not being very consistent in this one, but still with a decent pace. And also, if you look at his fuel as well, he's under 1/4 of a tank, and he's got to do another two laps after this. So Rodders might end up coming in for a splash and dash here. So we'll have to see. There's Stacker, he's on half a tank, and then Firepower just over half a tank. So we'll see how things go here. As you look back at Neil Farmack in 4th place in class. Jamo, sorry, 5th place in class for Neil Farmack, sorry. Jamo in 4th place in class, he's still doing very well in the Nissan. He's trying to keep with Callum, but Callum's just about pulling away. And Callum's done his personal best, second set to the race, so clearly Callum feeling like now's the time to push. So that's probably why it's Callum pulling away from Jamo. 1 second difference in the last lap, so roughly. So definitely trying to get on with the job. Meanwhile, Bidzster is still following Task 1, still trying to stay within that drafting distance to try and save fuel and keep up the speed and let Task 1 pull him away from Callum. So we're going down towards Indianapolis. Slowly down to Indianapolis we go with Bidzster and Task 1. There's Task 1 in the yellow Corvette, a very authentic livery, quite plain, but again, sometimes plain and simple is more effective than lots of clutter. So we'll, but yeah, looks very nice. Traditional yellow Corvette colours into the Arnage corner, then out of it, power down to the next corner. I was right, Rodders is in the pits. Rodders has had to come in for a splash and dash on fuel, so a couple laps of fuel needs to be put in for Rodders' car. Here comes Stacker, he's coming out the Porsche curve, so this could be actually a close call. And obviously Rodders has obviously opted for tyres as well, because there's some tyres in the pit lane as well. So we'll see what goes on here. So Stacker comes through the last chicane. Firepower coming through the last bit of the Porsche curves. So Stacker will be ahead of Rodders here. Rodders in, so up on the jacks. New fresh rubber goes on. Fuel is going to go in. So Stacker into 3rd place then. Good job for Stacker. Just shows you being consistent and having a good strategy pays off. And then Rodders comes out the pits, way ahead of his teammate Firepower, who's just coming through the last chicane now on half a tank. Rodders is on the same amount of fuel as Firepower as well, so they're both going to the end now. But Rodders is on absolutely fresh tyres and Stacker's gone off. Stacker's thrown it away at the first corner. We'll get a replay. here's the replay what happened to Stacker on lap 11 then. So into the first corner, goes quite deep into the first corner. And then gets on the curb, and then there's a little bump on the inside there, puts the power on and spins right round, then has to go through the gravel. And then by that time, there we are, Rodders has gone through already, and then we rejoin in fourth. But as we come back from that replay, Task 1 goes into the pits. Bidzster is released, but obviously he's only got about a lap to do, or a couple of laps to do, because obviously they've been lapped by the leaders once already, so we'll see how that goes. As we look at seat 1 here, he's on lap 11, Bidzster on lap 10, so another couple of laps left. What, lap and a half for the LPB ones and 2 laps for the GTEs. So Bidzster then released with over half a tank of fuel left, so he'll be able to put a few qualifying laps in here if he wants to actually keep the gap to Callum, who's just coming into the first chicane now, into the Dunlop chicane. So Jamo behind him, trying to stick with him, so that could be a close battle towards the end, because they've both got quite a decent amount of fuel left. There's Neil Farmack, and here's Task 1 coming out of the pits, and why has he put a full tank of fuel in? But having said that, he is wanting to actually push the tyres all the way and push the fuel all the way, so why not? So there's those firepower after chicane there. Stacker after that mistake, so Stacker unfortunately back down to fourth. We were looking alright for a decent third or fourth, but now he's definitely going to be either fourth or even fifth, because firepower isn't too far behind, and he's got a bit more fuel spare as firepower as well, so that could make a difference as the race pans out. But seat 1 well ahead in this race on the penultimate lap of this race. 1 lap to go when he crosses the line this time, and he's been leading this one in absolute dominant fashion. He's about 35 seconds ahead of the next car behind, roughly. Brilliant stuff from seat 1, to true class act. Techno in second place, he's done a very good job this race as well. A few mistakes here and there, same as Rodders, but again come out on top of Rodders, so second place for Techno looks to be in the bag. As Rodders comes through on fresh tyres and the fuel there that he's had to put in to last another couple of laps. There's Stacker and there's Firepower, so again, not quite over yet in that battle as well. Meanwhile, Bidzster in the lead of GTE after a good strategy put him ahead. Then he came out of the pits and got a nice draft from Callum's teammate Task, so that gave him a nice little lead there. Really such a shame about TY's connection, because he would have been good in this race as well, and it probably would have been a really good fight between the 2 art cars. You never know, they could have done a Suzuka and took each other off, so you never know. Into the next corner, so through Mulsanne, and then here's Callum with Jamo behind him again. Jamo getting rid of a bit of a penalty behind him, so not wanting to push too hard just yet. Plus the fact he's got a little bit less fuel than Callum, obviously he'll not know that as the marker boards go flying there, the little posts go flying on the inside. Neil Farmack comes through in the Nissan, a nice average race for him as well. Not the fastest race for him, but nice and average, you've got to be in it to win it. And Task 1 there, pushing hard in 10th place. I don't think he's going to get any more positions back now, but we'll see what happens to him throughout the race. So seat 1 then is he's almost halfway through, he's about a third of the way through his last lap. Dominant fashion, Techno in second. Rodders slides through in third, Stacker in fourth. Here he goes through the chicane, he's doing very well in this race so far. Up and over the curb, and gets the power on, too early and spins! Half spin for Stacker, and he's gone off onto the grass. He's going to try and rejoin. Where's Firepower? There he is. He'll see Stacker ahead of him and he'll think, haha, game on sunshine. Race on, last lap. Good little battle here for the last position in, or should I say fourth position in Division 2. So Firepower versus Stacker. Stacker cannot afford another mistake now. Firepower's right up his backside, sniffing that gearbox. He can smell the oil as we go through the chicane. Seat 1's at the Mulsanne corner. Let's have a check on the GT3 battle. So there's Bidzster and there's Callum, with Jamo falling back a bit. So Jamo's made a few mistakes here, so Callum got enough fuel left to get on with it now. Whoa, Jamo goes right off the track there. Talk about track limits. Wow, that was wide, but he did lose a bit of time there, so we're not too worried about that. And then Neil Farmack in 9th place. Task 1 still in 10th, but again he'll be able to use absolutely full power on this last lap, so we'll see where he can get. There's Neil Farmack, he's in. Oh, look at this battle between Firepower and Stacker on this last lap, and no, Firepower again hits the drift button, goes round sideways, and Stacker gives him room to come back on, but Stacker takes 4th place. There's Neil Farmack then, he's not going to make the last lap on fuel, so unfortunately he's had to come into the pits, and that's going to elevate Task 1 up a position. So Task 1's strategy actually pays off because Neil has mucked up his. He's got to put some more fuel in for the last lap. So lucky for Neil on the last lap of his race. Task 1 comes through in 4th. But Neil will be able to put some fuel in and he'll be able to go absolutely full pelt on this last lap now. As we look at Seat 1, he's absolutely dominated this race, and on the lap 11 he sets the fastest lap of 3:28.0. Good lap there. Seat 1's going to come across the line to take the overall win and Division 2 win. Fantastic win for Seat 1 there. Well done, he flashed his lights across the line. Well done to Seat 1. Pure class act. That's how it's done. Techno is going to come through in 2nd when he gets to the line, but he's not there yet, so we'll quickly look back to the Firepower and Stacker battle. Still going on. Firepower versus Stacker. Team Marlboro Porsche versus Team Jorex. As we go down towards Indianapolis. Oh, these guys are killing me with some of these team names this season. As we go down to the next corner then, down towards Indianapolis. It's Stacker from Firepower so far into the Indianapolis corner. Stacker goes in, very nice indeed. Meanwhile, there's Techno coming through the last corner. He's going to finish 2nd. Congratulations to Techno, 2nd place. Good finish for him. And he crossed the line just with the fuel running out there on the line. So good job there from Techno. Rodders is going to be 3rd. Stacker is, well, debatable on 4th place because they're still battling it out here. GT3 still not done yet as well. There's Firepower looking to get past Stacker now. Looking left, looking right, putting the pressure on, or what? Into these last few corners. Rodders is coming towards the last chicane, but we'll stick with these boys for now. Stacker versus Firepower. Through the Porsche curves for the last time. Stacker still ahead for now. Through the little kink. Onto the brake. Stacker goes a bit wide. Firepower's going to get a run here. Rodders finishes 3rd. Good podium finish for Rodders. But now let's focus on this battle for 4th. Firepower pressuring him and then makes his own mistake. Oh, gets a bit carried away with things. Stacker having to get rid of a penalty before the last chicane. Otherwise it's going to count. He's got rid of it just. Firepower there, and Stacker's thrown it away. Sideways. Firepower looks for a way through. Gets the power on. This is going to be a close finish. And it's just going to be Firepower from Stacker. What a finish. Brilliant. We'll get an onboard replay of that as well just to finish it off. What a wow. As soon as we come back from that onboard replay, Firepower just nicks 4th place from Stacker on the line. Brilliant stuff. But these GT3 boys aren't done yet, so these GTE boys are not done yet. They're still finishing off their battle in this race. There we go with Bidzster in 6th place. Into the last bit, obviously backed off a little bit, doesn't need to push too hard. Let's have a look at the fuel quarter tank, absolutely fine. Callum there as well in 2nd place in class, he's done well. Task 1's done very well as well. As Neil Farmacker to put a bit more fuel in for a splash and dash. As we go around the Porsche curves. So not quite the exciting finish from the GTE boys as we expected, but still a very well thought out race from Bidzster here. Well done to him. So he's going to take 2 out of 2 as Seat 1's done in his division. So Bidzster comes through the last chicane, through the 4 chicanes, and then out across the line to take victory number 2. 2 on the trot. Well done to Bidzster there. Oh, so the replay ends, unfortunately. So we'll get those results confirmed for you now, guys. Okay guys, here's the results from that one then. So Seat 1 takes a commanding victory in Division 2. Well done to him. He wins the race. Techno in 2nd place. Rodders finishes in 3rd on the podium. Firepower just ahead of Stacker on the line. A close finish between them two. And then in GTE, it is Bidzster in Division 1 who takes the win in that one. Callum finishes 2nd behind him. Jamo in 3rd in the Nissan. Then it's Task, who's Callum's teammate, in 4th place in class. And 5th place in class is Neil Farmack. And the fastest lap of the race goes to Seat 1 with a 3:28.0. Okay guys, we move on to the overall points after that one then. So Seat 1 is actually in the lead of the championship overall and in Division 2 on 84 points. Callum's in the lead of Division 1 in 2nd place overall on 76. Then it's Bidzster on 69, Techno for Division 2 66, and then so on and so forth down the order. And then we look at the team's championship. It's the Porsche Marlboro team in Division 2 in the overall lead of the team's championship, and the Art team are in the lead of the Division 1. So as we come back from that, then your winner in GTE was Bidzster, and your winner in LMP1 was Seek1. So apologies for that little bit crossing the line, but never mind. So we'll see you guys next time at Fuji. Take care, guys.